topics, we considered the problem of biological explanations for crime. A number of researchers wish to pinpoint specific causes for violence, and one of these research fields that has emerged as a result of this is the relation of traumatic brain injury to violence. Traumatic brain injury, or TBI, is defined as an alteration in brain function or other evidence of brain pathology caused by an external force and can refer to loss of or decreased consciousness, neurological deficits, and any alteration in mental state or loss of memory. We looked at this from within the discipline of criminology, and it's a topic that consists of endless research. Some of this we undertook together as a class. We looked at adolescent mass shootings and how considerations of development of these youths may have shaped their actions. Rice and Hoffman's work on the Sandy Hook elementary school shooting was very prevalent in this. The Sandy Hook shooting occurred in 2012 in Connecticut when Adam Lanza killed 20 children and 6 staff members. The Rice and Hoffman work begins by stating that the adolescent mass shooting to be described in this paper are usually perpetrated by single male individuals, many of which are Caucasians, who have been loners and may or may not have attracted attention as dysfunctional individuals. So it really narrows down the sample size. We then explored the work of Kaba and colleagues on their research into traumatic brain injury among newly admitted adolescents into the New York jail system. They look at 300 males and 84 females, of which 50% of males and 49% of female adolescents entered the jail with a history of TBI. So, after reading through a large amount of American research into the matter, I tried to track down some Australian-based research, which proved quite the hard task. I finally managed to come across work by Schofield and colleagues from 2006 that tries to correlate TBI to Australian prison entrance in New South Wales. They screened 200 males in New South Wales for a history of TBI. They also screened for depression, psychosis, personality disorder, drug and alcohol use, and social connectedness. And among the 200 study participants, 82% reported past TBI. So, the only research I was able to locate into TBI in Australia consisted of only 200 participants that were all male. It became very clear to me very quickly that there is, aside from a distinct lack of Aussie research, more importantly, there's an almost absence of female representation in a lot of the work that we undertook on this topic. And after reading only a few female studies that I could locate, there really shouldn't be this gap because the results are that significant. Sullivan conducted a systematic review on TBI and violent behavior in females, and they begin their work by stating, research on causes and consequences of neurodisability has established a positive link between TBI and risk of violence among males. The nature and contribution of TBI to violence risk in females is equivocal, and research with females is underrepresented in the domain. Their work highlight that in the UK in 2011, 34% of arrested females and 31% of males were arrested for violence against the person. Within 12 months of release from prison, 17.8% of females reoffend. And yet, despite these figures, female offenders are a relatively understudied population. Sullivan also states that although females have a lower recorded prevalence of offending than males, females who perpetrate offences are more likely than males to be experiencing a mental illness. Nonetheless, because of a lack of resources and literature, Sullivan and colleagues were unable to provide clear statistics and just concluded simply that research is urgently needed to build upon the studies reviewed and improve the evidence based on TBI and violence with a specific focus on females, rendering itself mildly useless. Durant and colleagues had a similar problem. They provide an insight into the French female prison population and TBI. During the admission procedure, female offenders were interviewed by healthcare staff using a self-reported questionnaire. In all, 100 female offenders were included, And the rate of self-reported TBI was 21%. That's only self-reported. But once again, the study concluded that additional evidence is essential to conclude any causal relationships between violence and TBI in females. And so, my message here is clear. First of all, where's the Australian evidence into biological explanations of violence? And where is the female research overall? It is clear that causal relations can be identified between TBI and female offenders, and that female offenders aren't quite the minority that we perhaps think that they are, or that they used to be. So, where is the research?